All right. Here we go again. Yet another beautiful day in the neighborhood. Hopefully y'all can hear me. Let me check my mic. Make sure y'all can hear me. How we doing, guys? We here. We here. Can y'all hear me? Testing, testing. 1, 2, testing. We got some pomegranate juice over here. Good for the antioxidants. If you know what's going on with the antioxidants, fighting the free radicals. Right? Trying to fight the free radicals, but we're here. We're here, guys. Just getting comfortable, letting the algorithm recognize that we're in here for yet another conversation, yet another topic of conversation and discussion, something we need to address. If you haven't heard, there's recently been a mass shooting down there in Jacksonville, Florida. Now, this one, I've been all over the world. I travel a lot. I actually lived in Jacksonville for a year. Uh, I lived in Jacksonville, and I know folks down there in Jacksonville right now. So, I had to when I heard about this news, I had to speak on it. And I feel bad because I also need to make a video on the Hawaii fires. I'm late. I'm late on that. It's so much stuff going on in the world. So much stuff going on in the world, and I mean, I'm juggling this with work and just life stuff. Sometimes things get away from me, but it's just so much stuff in the world going on. I had to make sure I at least touch on this topic because it's kind of crazy right now, and I think it feeds into a lot of the things that I address on this platform. You're going to see the topic of race come up on this conversation because the shooter wrote a manifesto, a racist manifesto, saying that he hates black people. So it's clearly racially motivated. He had swastikas on his AR-15. He wasn't undercover. He was very open with his racism. So this was clearly racially motivated. From what I understand, he allowed this shooting was carried out at a Dollar General. He tried to go to a Christian HBCU, and many news sources are not reporting it accurately. A security guard at this HBCU turned the shooter away. A lot of people are saying, "Oh well, he tried to go to the HBCU, but he ended up going somewhere else." They brush over the fact that it was a security guard who actively told him, "You don't have ID, you need to go." Right? So he was stopped from entering the HBCU, which was his first target. And he saw it wasn't a easy target as he thought, so he ended up going to a Dollar General. I'm not going to play the video. I'm not going to play the video of the shooting, but I am going to go over some articles. I'm going to go over some articles. I'm going to show the way that some media outlets are addressing this, and we got a few things we got to talk about here. So I'm not going to unload my clip just yet, but we got a few things that we need to address on today's video. By the way, guys, if you've made it this far in the video, do me a favor. I'll let you guess. What am I going to say? Do me a favor. Hit the thumbs up button. Hit the thumbs up button. That's what I meant to do. I'm gonna have to put some tags here, so from now on I don't have to keep reminding y'all to hit the thumbs up button. Next video I'm gonna have it outlined where it's an automatic reminder. Hey guys, hit the thumbs up video. Hit the thumbs up on the video. Also, if you're new to the channel, be sure to smash the subscribe button. If you're new to the channel, smash the subscribe button. I drop videos, interesting topics just like this, just about every single day. You're going to get a perspective that you probably haven't heard before. So come on back some more. Come on back for more. I read all my comments, so if I'm wrong on something, leave it in the comment section. I'll try to address it. I might learn something. I'm not a know-it-all. It's not a big I, little you platform, none of that. We're all here just talking, trying to figure things out together, right? So if you have a correction you want to make, if I'm saying something wrong, leave it in the comment section. We can address it. We can work through it together. All right. If you agree with me, hit the thumbs up button and be sure to leave a comment saying, hey man, you're spot on. Hey man, check this out, right? You can follow me on my social medias. The True Lou is my Instagram, and I'm going to have this up for you next time. The True Lou, THATRUE_LOU on Instagram, and Lou Logic on Twitter, or the platform formerly known as Twitter. Now it's known as X. All right, I know some guys asked me for my social media stuff before. Let's go ahead and get that out the way. Without any further ado, now that you've hit the thumbs up button, now that I've introduced myself and the topic of the conversation for today, let's get into it. All right. All right, so this article is coming from Fox News. I'm going to use this just as a quick introduction. It says, who was the racially motivated Dollar General shooter who killed 3 black Americans? All right, Ron Christopher Paul Metter is the man's name, accused of killing 3 black Americans in a racially motivated crime. I'm not going to play this video. We're going to go into the article a little bit. I'll play a clip of him speaking later on. But first, let's just get into this article to kind of show you the way that news medias are reporting on this. All right. So it says, Ryan Christopher Palmetter is accused of carrying out a racially motivated shooting that killed 3 black Americans at a Dollar General location in Jacksonville, Florida on Saturday, according to authorities. Plainly put, the shooting was racially motivated and he hated black people, Jacksonville Sheriff T.K. Waters said during a news conference on Saturday. Palmetter was a 21-year-old white man who was a white 21-year-old man who opened fire at a Dollar General in a predominantly black neighborhood of Jacksonville with an AR-15 and a Glock handgun after 1 p.m. So he had multiple weapons on him. The suspect turned the gun on himself and shot himself after killing these black folks. Here's a picture of this POS, right? This degenerate thug. Here's a picture of him so you can get his image seared in your mind. His picture is seared into your brain. So that's the shooter. Now, Palmetter does not appear to have an active social media presence. Blah, 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 blah. Looking forward to a bright career. So, okay, here we go. Here we're getting into some details that I wanted to point out. Looking forward to a bright career in business administration. So we got into school. He's in college. The X is Twitter. The X account's bio states that he was an Oakleaf high school attendee with a 3.5 GPA. All right, 3.5 GPA, which means he's not stupid. He's not stupid. A lot of times, these people, these media outlets, Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, they like to frame these shooters, these mass shooters, as, oh, you know, he was going through so many mental health issues, and he was just crazy. He was just mentally ill. Listen, the man was sane enough to maintain a 3.5 GPA. All right. Now, I'm not saying you can't have a 3.5 GPA and not have issues like anxiety, stress, PTSD, whatever have you. But this man was not so mentally deranged. He was not so defective that he wasn't able to read his books. He was able to diligently and on time show up to class. There's things that's required to maintain a 3.5 GPA mentally, mental requirements that tell me, okay, this man had an ideology. The fact that he wrote a manifesto, that's not something that you can do overnight. That takes some thought, some premeditation. This man wrote a manifesto. He was thinking about this act. This wasn't just he flipped out, he blanked out, it was a momentary lapse of judgment. No. This was premeditated. This was well thought out, well planned. Multiple weapons, 3.5 GPA. This guy he's not an idiot. They always try to Dude, they always try to do two things when it comes to these shooters. One, they're going to say that he was suffering mental illness, and two, they're going to say he was working alone. He's alone. He's an outlier. He was just working alone. Nobody knew that he was, crazy enough to go shoot up people. Nobody knew he hated black people. Nobody knew he was a Nazi, a self-proclaimed Nazi. Nobody knew that. He was just working alone. He did this in a momentary lapse of judgment. No, he's not stupid, number one. He's not stupid. He's not stupid, number one. Number two, he's not alone. They always try to say that these guys are alone. I'm not so sure. We're going to get into why I say I'm not so sure in a bit. But suffice it to say, for an introduction, they always try to claim these people are working alone as lone wolves, but I'm not so sure. Let's get deeper into this article. He was certified, this man with a 3.5 GPA, was certified in a range of Adobe platforms and drinks too many Arizona products. Arizona's like tea. But range of Adobe platform products. So he might have gotten into IT after graduation. Excuse me. On Saturday, officials said the shooter had once been involved in a 2016 domestic violence incident and was once involuntarily committed to a mental hospital for examination. Okay, think about it like this. This man was 21 years old, right? Let's just do the math. Let's just do the math on this situation. This man is 21 years old at the time of this shooting, right? 21 years old. This is 2023. He was involved in a domestic violence incident in 2016. I'm not a math wizard, but I'd say that's about 7 years. I don't know what month this incident occurred, but let's say 7 years. 21 minus 7, right? What was he? 15, right? 14, 15-ish, right? I'm not a math wizard, so y'all work with me. What is this, 14, 15 years old when he was involved in a domestic violence incident, according to this article from Fox News. Let me show it to you once more again, and we're going to do the math on this. In 2016, this shooter, this man who walked into a Dollar General and shot 3 black people, 3 unarmed civilians, was previously in 2016, 7 years ago, was involved in a domestic violence incident, and he was committed to a mental hospital for examination. So riddle me this: how is it that this man got access to 2 different firearms? Number one was an AR-15 and the second one was a Glock, right? This man had access to a rifle, legal access to a rifle and a pistol as a child. This man at the time was 14 years old in 2016. Mind you, in 2023, he's only 21 years old. In 2023, he's 21 years old, which means at the time in 2016 of this domestic, what kind of domestic violence are you involved in? First of all, where are your parents? How are you getting involved in any type of domestic disputes? Listen, I don't know the details of this domestic dispute, but how is it that you are interacting with the police at 14, 15 years old, and you're still able to get your hands on a rifle, and you have a history of mental illness? Let them tell you. You are involuntarily committed. This is why people are looking at Ron DeSantis kind of sideways. We're going to get into the political ramifications of this situation in a bit. So without getting too far off topic, we're going to go through this article, and I don't want to get too far off topic. We're going to get there in due time. But just to understand why people are looking at Ron DeSantis sideways. First of all, in Florida, there's a long history of these types of racist shootings. Hello, Trayvon Martin, or should I say George Zimmerman, who's still walking around here. Hello, George Zimmerman, walking around, stalking black people, killing unarmed black people for no reason, right? Not only is there a long history of killing of black people, unarmed black people down there in Florida. Not only is that the case, but now Ron DeSantis, under Ron DeSantis, they're saying, hey, you don't even need a permit to conceal carry. You can get your weapons, you can carry your gun, and go ahead and you don't even have to show it. You don't even, you can have a concealed weapon. This man legally bought a rifle and a pistol in the state of Florida, despite having domestic violence charges and having been involuntarily committed to a mental ward. All right, let's keep reading this article. I just wanted to do the math on it. 2016 domestic violence incident. Once involuntarily committed to a mental hospital, still has the access to an AR-15 and a Glock. It said Glock, right? Yeah. AR-15 and Glock handgun. That's right. So this man, at the age of 14, 15, was involved in a domestic violence situation, turns 21, gets himself an AR-15. He was involuntarily committed into a mental ward, still gets an AR-15 and a Glock, and is able to shoot up unarmed black civilians. Wonderful. Thank you, Florida. Let's keep reading. All right, here we go. Paul Metter is suspected of killing 2 men and 1 woman at the Dollar General on Saturday. Images shared on the sheriff's Facebook page show white lettering and symbols painted on the AR-15 rifle, including what appears to be a swastika. See that? Make sure everyone can see that. There we go. Let me get that a little bit better on your screen so you can see it clearly. Swastika on the rifle. Okay. The gunman allegedly left his parents' home around 11:40 a.m. Saturday in Clay County before traveling to a neighboring county to carry out the shooting. The shooter was reportedly spotted on the campus of Edward Waters University, a Christian and HBCU, or HBC, historically black college. Before he headed to the Dollar General, you see how they just skipped over the fact? Why did he leave the black college? It was because he was turned away by a security guard. Research shows, I've done a little bit extra research. I'm going to spare you, but just understand what the media is leaving out is there was a security guard who turned him away from the HBCU. Before he headed to the Dollar General to carry out the shooting. Here's his rifle. You can see there's writing on it. There's 1 or 2 more things I wanted to point out from this article before we move on. Waters said Palmetto approached the first victim of Angela Carr, shooting her through the window of her black Kia in the parking lot. God rest her soul. Palmetto then walked into the store and opened fire. In addition to the apparent swastika depiction, Waters said the shooter wrote several, not one, several manifestos with portions describing the suspect's disgusting ideology of hate. Now, riddle me this. Who writes a manifesto and doesn't want it to be read? This man supposedly working by himself. Wrote several, not one, several manifestos. And he's just by himself? Nobody knew that he had these type of feelings. Nobody knew that he was contemplating shooting unarmed people. There's mass shootings all over the country, and every single one of these mass shooters are just by themselves. They're all writing manifestos. They're all shooting up schools and shooting up random stores, New York, train stations in California, shooting up just random places. All of them writing manifestos, and all of them working by themselves, right? They're working by themselves, right? Okay, all right. This man, I don't know who writes a manifesto and doesn't want it to be read. First of all, I don't know. Waters said the gunman acted alone. See how quickly they write this? Waters said the gunman acted alone, and there is absolutely no evidence the shooter is part of any larger group. Do you know they always say this? Let me ask you this. What kind of investigation has been done to validate this statement? What type of investigation has been done to validate this statement that there is absolutely no evidence that this man who's over here writing multiple manifestos is acting by himself? The shooting was on Saturday. Today is Monday. There have been 2 days. 2 days have passed. Are you telling me that they did a thorough investigation to defend this statement that there is zero, absolutely no evidence that this man is working with a part of a bigger group? All these quote unquote lone mass shooters operating in different states, different locations, and there's always working alone. They all have manifestos and they're all working alone. Really? What do you think the odds on that are? What do you think the odds of that are? There's no way. There's RICOs being built against everyone. Donald Trump right now is facing a RICO charge. RICO racketeering, meaning is a group, a conspiracy. Young Thug is rappers. Rappers are facing RICO charges. There's always a conspiracy. The president is facing RICO. There's RICOs all over. But when it comes to these mass shootings, and everyone has the swastika, everyone is dressed the same, everyone has the AR, everyone has multiple manifestos, and they all doing it alone. Okay, all right, let them tell it. Let them tell it. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis condemned the attack as being carried out by a scumbag who targeted people based on their race. Listen, Ron DeSantis is not looking good right now. Nobody wants to hear what Ron DeSantis has to say at a time like this. Ron DeSantis is openly promoting this anti-black CRT. Oh, we have to fight and combat CRT. There's never a good definition of what CRT is. Let this anti-woke. We can't be woke. This you cannot be woke rhetoric. What is woke? Woke used to be a black conscious term. Oh, stay woke, right? This used to be a black conscious term. It's been taken, the meaning has been altered, and now it's something attached to the LGBT and all things liberal, which it makes it so vague. Excuse me, it makes it so vague that now the Republicans are, oh, we don't want to be woke. We're against the LGBTQ. We're against these liberal ideologies. But really, the black people are just the face of it. We're not going to say we're anti-black, even though we're fighting CRT, critical race theory, which, what is that? That's just history. They're trying, in Florida, Governor Ron DeSantis in particular, specifically, is writing policies that are detrimental and harmful to Black Americans, foundational Black Americans in particular, but Black Americans specifically, all Black Americans, and all white Americans. That the erasure of history is a problem that faces everyone, because truth is truth, facts defend themselves. So by ending CRT, what they call CRT, by changing and whitewashing history, the racist history of America, by whitewashing it and hiding it, you're not only doing a disservice to black people who will often do our own study and come up to our own conclusions, but you're also doing a disservice to these white folks who are being told lies and won't understand their own history. I'm going to digress from that point for a bit. But Ron DeSantis does not have a good record right now when it comes to black people. And when there is a mass shooting, a racially motivated mass shooting, he's got no credibility to stand on. We're going to get into why that's relevant in a moment. There's one or two more things I want to see from this article before we move on. This shooting, based on the manifesto they discovered from the scumbag that did this, was racially motivated. He was targeting black people on their race, and this is totally unacceptable, says Governor Ron DeSantis. The problem is he has festered and created a culture and atmosphere of anti-black racism in Florida with his anti-woke, anti-CRT stance. Now listen, this is something that we're going to talk about later on in the broadcast, but if it was just Ron DeSantis saying we need to remove this LGBTQ ideology from schools, there's a lot of black people who would support that. A lot of black people, foundational black Americans in particular, specifically, are against a lot of this LGBTQ agenda in our schools. As far as legally, fine, have all the rights you want. You're 18 years old, go live your life and do whatever you want. But for these kids, a lot of black Americans do want to defend our kids from a lot of this, what they now deem as woke ideology. But when they start attacking black history, it's unnecessary, first and foremost, because black people aren't trying to weaponize our history against you. It's not like we're trying to recruit your kids, right? With the LGBTQ situation, you have a situation where you have drag queens trying to go into libraries and schools and teach their ideology because they are unable to produce their own children. They have to recruit because they can't go have babies, because two men can't have babies and two women can't have babies. They don't have babies at the same rate as heterosexual couples. So because they can't reproduce, they have to recruit. So stopping them from recruiting in schools, fine. I understand that. But when you start attacking black history, what's to be gained there? It's a direct attack on black Americans, and it's unprovoked. It's not as if we're in the school saying, hey, we need to bring you kids to believe X, Y, Z. We're not trying to tell you to believe anything. History is history. We're not saying any lies. Tell the truth about history. That's enough. We don't have to put up any opinions. Just tell the truth. What happened? When did slavery start? What was slavery like? When did it end? What happened in Reconstruction? What happened in the Jim Crow? Just tell the truth. You don't have to add any, you don't have to take away or add anything. You don't have to put any opinions into it. Just tell the truth. That's all we're asking. LGBTQ stuff, that's opinionated. I believe that a man can be a woman. I believe. That's opinions. Black people are not asking to uphold our opinions. We're just saying, just tell the truth about history. That's all we want. So when you're attacking CRT or attacking black history, I'm going to stop saying CRT because they're not attacking CRT. They're attacking black history. When they're attacking black history, they're attacking black people for no reason at all. It's unprovoked, and it increases the comfort level of these suspected white supremacists or openly white supremacist shooters. And let me say this one more thing before we finish this article. The reason I wanted to emphasize the fact that this man had a 3.5 GPA is because they always like to say, oh, this was a lone wolf, and he was suffering mental illness. But white supremacy is not a mental illness. They always say, oh, we need more education when the police officers shoot black people, unarmed black civilians. We need more education. We need more training. No, it's not an issue of training. It's not that they didn't know that it was wrong to shoot unarmed black people. It's not that they didn't know. It's not that they were they were tricked. The issue is there is a culture called white supremacy. It's very logical and it's very hate-filled. Just like there's different cultures. You wouldn't say, oh, a hippie is suffering mental illness because he's a hippie. The hikers, the fitness influencers are suffering mental illness because they're fitness influencers. There's different lifestyles. Some people are hippies. Some people are fitness gurus. Some people are into yoga. Some people are into tech. Some people are gamers. There's different lifestyles. People are open to live their life however they want to live. One segment of the population is into the white supremacist lifestyle. And that's a significant portion of the population. I'm not saying it's everybody, but that segment of the population does exist. And we need to stop belittling them or dismissing them or brushing over the situation by saying it's only a one wolf or it's just a mental illness. No, this is a conscious, decisive, intentional, and premeditated lifestyle that a portion of the population chooses to rock with. All right, let's finish off this article, then we're going to move on. By the way, guys, if you've made it this far in the video, you see on the channel, be sure to hit the thumbs up button. boost us in the algorithm. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button. We're going to finish out this article, then we're going to move on. Blah, 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 blah. Is that it? Is that all I wanted to mention from here? He lived with his parents. To our knowledge, he had no criminal or arrest history outside of when he was 16. Palmetto was reportedly wearing tactical vests when he carried out the shooting. His parents, who have not been identified by police, you see, they never identify the police when it's a white shooter. When it's black people, oh, you got you got the media all in the black people's parents' house. What was your son doing? Let me shoot up a Dollar General. People going to be swarming my parents' house. Not that I would ever do that. Of course I wouldn't. His parents, who have not identified by police, were notified of the shooting. Blah, 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 blah. All right. I think that's all I wanted from here. Oh, yeah. We're going to get into that Ron DeSantis thing in a bit. All right. I'm going to play this just to level set you, and then we're going to move on. I'm going to play this just to level set you, and then we're going to move on to my next point that I wanted to make. Check out this video. Yeah.
It all happened at a Dollar General around 1 this afternoon. Police say the shooter left 3 different manifestos detailing his hate toward black people. Reports say the gunman then barricaded himself inside the shop and killed 3 victims, all of them black, before turning the gun on himself.
Portions of these manifestos detail the shooter's disgusting ideology of hate. Plainly put, this shooting was racially motivated, and he hated black people. I want to be very clear that there is absolutely no evidence that the shooter is part of any large group. We know that he acted completely alone.
Okay, that's what that last 5 seconds is what I wanted to emphasize here. I'm going to play it one more time, and I mentioned it in the article. And by the way, guys, this video is free use. I'm just using this Fox News clip. I'm reporting on the news, letting you all see what these news reporters are saying. But this is something that I'm just trying to point out and highlight, the fact that they keep different outlets. Now, first it was Fox News that I showed, but this is the sheriff. This is the sheriff saying that he is a lone wolf. He's working by himself. And this is something I wanted to address. So I want to play that last few seconds one more time and listen closely to what the sheriff is saying here about this being a lone shooter.
Very clear that there is absolutely no evidence that the shooter is part of any large group. We know that he acted completely alone.
We know that he operated completely alone. This shooting happened 2 days ago. What kind of investigation has been done for them to decide that there is absolutely no evidence? There's no way that he was working with a group. He must have been operating alone. What evidence are they using to support this claim? That's my question. It's been 2 days. The shooting happened on Saturday. Today is Monday. How is it that they are so sure that this man who has written multiple manifestos, multiple, not one, multiple manifestos, this man who has clearly military training, not military training, but military gear and supplies as far as an AR-15, he has a Glock, he has a military vest, an LBV, load-bearing vest. He has the gear. What makes them so sure? He has multiple manifestos. He has swastikas. What makes them so sure that he's operating by himself? Like, how do they know that in 2 days? Have they done any investigation to support this claim? Or are they just saying he's working by himself and hoping nobody does any further investigation? Because you know the people aren't just accepting anything anymore. The people are not just accepting what the police say about these mass shooters anymore. We're doing our own research. So with that being said, I want to show you all this. Something I came across on X. All right, X is what they used to call Twitter. Now this is my X profile. I uploaded this. This is his brother. We know that the shooter has a brother named James Palmetto. This is James Palmetto uploading on Facebook. He says, "I'm racist. Is that a problem?" I'm racist. This is the brother of a shooter who shot and killed multiple unarmed black civilians with an AR-15. The police say he's working alone, but his brother says, I'm racist. Is that a problem? Again, I'm showing you this with the question in mind. I want you to ask yourself, how do we know? How can we be so sure after 2 days of investigating? How can we be so sure that this man is operating alone? There are all these mass shootings all over the country. They all have manifestos. They all have swastikas. They're all dressed similarly. But we know that they're all operating alone. Look, I'm racist. Is that a problem? Is there something wrong with that? Let's see another post, another upload from the shooter's brother. James Palmetto, the brother of this shooter. Black people, do I have your permission to use the word nigga? I'll use it regardless, but whatever. I'm racist. Can I use the N-word? No, it doesn't matter. I'm going to use it anyway. This is the brother of a shooter, a mass shooter, an openly racist mass shooter, saying, I too, the brother of this shooter, I too am racist, and I'm going to use the N-word, and I'm going to do what I want. But we're so sure after a 2-day investigation that this man is operating alone. This 21-year-old has access to an AR-15. AR-15s go for about what, $2,000? Depending on what state you're in, $1,500 to $2,000, $1,500 to $2,000 for a rifle. Okay, so this college student, 21 years old, has access to thousands of dollars for a rifle. The Glock itself probably costs $400 to $600, right? So he bought an AR-15. He bought a Glock. This is thousands of dollars worth of equipment. He bought an LBV, load-bearing vest. He bought all of this gear. This is thousands of dollars worth of equipment. He wrote multiple manifestos, racist manifestos. And after a two-day investigation, despite his brother saying, I too am openly racist, and I too am going to use the N-word, and I don't care if you black people like it or not. His brother is co-signing the same ideology that this mass shooter had. But after 2 days, the police are just certain. There's no evidence, none, that this man is working with anyone else. I'm not saying that he is working with other people. Let's be clear. I'm not saying that he is working with other people. I'm just saying, can we do some research first before we make such a certain claim, a claim of certainty that he's working himself? He's a lone wolf. I don't know how the police can be so certain after 2 days. I don't know what kind of investigation they've done, if they've done any investigation at all. Mind you, this shooter has shot him and killed himself. This man shot and killed himself after shooting the black folks. So it's not like they're asking him. If you've made it this far in the video, guys, be sure to hit the thumbs up button. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. With that being said, let's talk about this. Ron DeSantis. Sorry, I don't need that. I was going to use that for the thumbnail to this video. But here's the last article I want to go over on this topic. Ron DeSantis booed at the Vigil for Jacksonville shooting victims. These black folks had a vigil to honor the deceased, the victims of this mass shooting. Ron DeSantis showed up to give his comments and get his 15 minutes of media coverage as a presidential hopeful, and the people of his own state decide to boo him. The governor has announced funding for security at a historically black college where the gunman first appeared before killing 3 black people at a Dollar General. Let's see these black folks boo the governor and see who steps up to help him. Oh man, did I? Okay, we got this, and then we got one more video. We're going to go a little bit into this article, then I got one more thing I want to show you all before I close out. All right, check out this video of Ron DeSantis.
College, we are not going to allow these institutions to be targeted by people.
Let me say this. Okay, listen, y'all. Let me tell you, we finna put parties aside. Cause it ain't about parties today. A bullet don't know a party. So don't get me started. Okay, Jacoby is nice, but Ann is not.
You see this, sister? I use the word sister lightly. You know, the issue, the reason these people are booing has nothing to do with Ron DeSantis being a Republican. It has nothing to do with his party affiliation. It has to do with him. Him specifically and him in particular. It's not that these black folks are booing Ron DeSantis because they don't like the Republicans. A lot of these black folks who are booing will likely vote for Donald Trump. Despite the fact that you think it's about Republican and Democrat, a lot of these black folks don't care about neither one of these parties. These folks are booing Ron DeSantis specifically. It has nothing to do with the Republicans showing up. It has the fact that this man, Ron DeSantis, has a history of disrespecting black people by trying to erase their history being taught in schools. And then when a black people get shot by someone who has likely the same ideology as Ron DeSantis, then he wants to show up like, oh, well, we're here to help. You know, we just care so deeply. We really care about you black folks at this HBCU. The school that they're trying to give money to, that Ron DeSantis is trying to give money to, is a historically black college. History is in the title of the history is in the title of the school. Ron DeSantis is actively trying to erase black history. You're going to give money to the historically black college while we're taking money away from black history. People can see the hypocrisy. People know that this is just a photo opportunity for the presidential hopeful, the man running for president. There was a mass shooting in your state. Of course you're going to show up, and the people rightfully booed him. Boo, 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 I boo you. Boo him. They booed him. Because Ron DeSantis, there's a lot of things that Ron DeSantis could have done. And this one point that I want to emphasize before we move on. The Republicans, the woman is probably a Democrat that said, oh, we need to put our, it's not about party, Republican or Democrat. A lot of people on the grassroots know that it's not about Republican or Democrat. A lot of people on the grassroots, just people in the streets, know that neither party have any of our interests in mind. But the Republicans could get a lot further. There is a large opportunity that the Republicans are not capitalizing on by the continual degradation and insulting of black people. There's a lot of black people. Black people are the foundation of the Democratic Party. We vote Democrats, we as in black people as a whole in America, are really the Democratic base, the base of the Democratic Party, and a very significant portion of the black Americans have had enough of Democrats. But they just feel like, well, what are our alternatives? We can't go with Republicans because we have folks like Ron DeSantis who are actively undermining black history, actively undermining the interests of black people. Ron DeSantis is making, I'm a Second Amendment rights advocate, but I think that there should be certain safeguards and regulations as far as if you have been involuntarily arrested and put on mental health issues, if you have been involved in domestic violence issues, then you should probably go through a more stringent review before accessing an AR-15. I don't think that's too high of a bar. Okay, I'm not saying take away guns. I have multiple firearms, and I don't want anyone coming for my guns. We're gonna have a problem, right? But I am saying if you have a history, as this shooter down there in Jacksonville has, if you have a history of being involuntarily committed to mental health wards, if you have a history of domestic violence, which is a very big precursor to other types of violence and assault, if you have a history of domestic violence, we should probably do a little bit more research into your background before granting you access to an AR-15. All right, I don't think that's too much to ask. But the policies that Ron DeSantis in particular is pushing is alienating a lot of Black Americans who otherwise would agree and support with a lot of the things that Ron DeSantis and the Republicans have to say. So the Republicans are missing out on a very significant opportunity right now. The Republicans are missing a very significant opportunity by not reaching out to black folks and saying, hey, you all want strong borders, we want strong borders. You foundational black Americans, you want to end these wars where we're sending billions of dollars overseas to Ukraine and sending billions of dollars. You want to end these wars, we want to end these wars. This is more libertarians could be used in this regard. You want to end these wars, we want to end these wars. You want strong borders, we want strong borders. You want to get this I don't want to call it woke, but you want to get this LGBTQ plus ideology out of our elementary schools. So do we. There's a lot of ground for alliances between the Republicans and a lot of black conservatives who cannot call themselves Republicans, like myself. I'm not a Republican. No, because of folks like this. Folks like this. And as soon as something happens and they need a photo op, they're going to show up. And this is what's going to happen. They're going to get booed. I'm going to play a little bit more of this article, and then I'm going to move on to my closing statements showing some other takes. This is my take. You're saying what I think about the situation. I'm going to play what someone else has to say that I saw, and I was just like, wow, this is what we got to deal with. All right, check this out. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button, guys. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button. All right, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis was heckled and booed as he was introduced to speak at a vigil Sunday for victims of the Jacksonville shooting at a Dollar General store where a white gunman shot and killed 3 black people. All right, guys, I also gotta start reading these comments. I'm going to get to y'all, guys. I see Michael Pan in the chat. I see Bernard, my boy Bernard. Yo. What's going on, Bernard? My bad, man. I'm terrible reading these comments. I always read them by the end of the stream. I am going to read your comments. I'm terrible about reading the comments, but I will read everyone's comments. I promise. Let's just read a few of them before we get into this article. We got Michael Pan. Shout out Michael Pan. I saw you, brother. He says 14 years old, 15 years in 2016. Yeah, he was 14, 15. I don't know what month that situation happened in 2016. I don't know when his birthday was. So I say 15, 14. Because he's 21 as of the shooting. So in 2016, 7 years ago. So 14, 15. Yeah, Mike. Bernard, what's going on, brother? My boy Bernard, he's been with me since the very beginning too. My boy Trayvon, shout out Trayvon Jones. Y'all be sure to support his channel as well. Trayvon Jones and Bernard, y'all brothers have been with me. So I appreciate y'all rocking with me. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button. Bernard says, rest in peace, all innocent people that got killed by this demon. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. It's a sad situation, bro. It's a sad situation, bro. I lived down there in Jacksonville, so I had to speak on this. It's a sad situation, bro. I don't know this Dollar General in particular. I was trying to find the address to know exactly which Dollar General this is. But I had a Dollar General in Jacksonville that I lived walking distance from. If I leave my apartment complex, I'm right there by the Dollar General. So yeah, man, that's rough. And let me tell you, before I'm going to read these comments, and then we're going to get into the article and show something else. But while you got me on this topic, Bernard, when you live in different places, like I lived in, China, I lived in Hawaii, I live in DC now, I live in, Atlanta, I'm from Atlanta. I've lived in different places. And everywhere you live has a different culture, right? Everywhere you live, you can kind of see, oh, well, out here in Hawaii, there's a culture of hiking. People like hiking, people like going to the beach. There's an outdoor, physically fit culture where people like to have barbecues, people like being outside, enjoying nature. This is the culture in Hawaii. People really care about the community, sustainability as far as water rights, as far as conserving nature and natural preserves. That's the culture in Hawaii, right? In DC, there's a very diverse culture here. You have people from all over the world coming to DC. You have a culture of uh, local community. People appreciate the folks who are from, DC natives, DC stand up. There's a culture in DC. There's a culture in Hawaii. In China, there's a culture in China. Everywhere you go, there's a different culture. I lived in Jacksonville, so let me tell you the culture that I felt when I was living there. I lived there in 20. Actually, this guy was arrested in 2016. I was there in Jacksonville in 2017, 2018. I can tell you the culture, the feeling that you get in Jacksonville as an outsider. Now, the folks who are from there, live their life, they might have a different perspective. But as someone who moves around and I lived in Jacksonville, the culture that I felt there, there is a very perceivable. You can feel the split. It's very segregated. Like there's black folks and white folks, and they live together in the community, but they don't really interact. Like it's really strange. You can feel like there's I don't even know how to describe it verbally. Like there is an undercurrent. That's what I want to say. It's not on the surface. It's not on the surface. People will smile and they're very, polite and stuff. But beneath the surface, you can feel like this air of division between the blacks and the whites in Jacksonville. I've lived there, and this is what I felt. It's not open and it's not on the top. It's not like very blatant, even though driving through Jacksonville, you will see some Confederate flags on those trucks. Let me tell you, I lived there. I saw multiple, numerous, several trucks with the Confederate flag, people wearing the Confederate shirts. It's not, when I say there's an undercurrent, I mean when people are interacting together. But at the end of the interaction, the white folks go back their way, the black folks go back their way, and those white folks are not hiding the fact that they got their Confederate and South Shall Rise Again shirts on. Okay, so let me tell you, Jacksonville is an interesting city. I wouldn't recommend it. All right, personally, I've moved around a lot. I've lived in Jacksonville. I'm not the biggest fan. But Bernard, salute to you, brother. I just wanted to address that. Let's see what else you guys are saying. Okay, rest in peace to everyone. That's right, Bernard. Michael Pan, his father gave his son access to the guns. Okay, but then they're saying he acted alone. All right. Bernard, why are the families never held accountable? That's Michael Pan. I mean, you got to answer that, bro. Why are the families never held accountable? People should take it to the parents. Now, I'm not saying that parents should be held responsible for the sins of the child, but just like the situation with who's the guy out there, Kyle Rittenhouse. His dad gave him the guns, gave Kyle Rittenhouse the guns, right? Kyle Rittenhouse did not have any legal authority to be in possession of those rifles, and yet he was able to cross state lines with a rifle, shoot and kill multiple people. And the question of how he got into possession of those rifles never comes into play. I think that's something that it does deserve questioning. I'm with you, Bernard. I feel you. Judan. All right, what's going on, Judan? CRT sounds like systematic racism to me. Judan, I don't know what CRT is. Like, everyone I see, I ask this question. CRT stands for critical race theory, but when I was in school, they taught us history. They didn't teach us CRT. I don't really know. What is CRT? Can you give me an example? Judan, if you're still in here, give me an example. I don't know what CRT is. I need an example. I'm slow. Talk to me like I'm 5. I don't know what CRT is. Back to Michael Pan. Ron DeSantis contradicted himself by not having schools to teach black history, but Asian American history. You dig? Michael Pan, you're right. White people learned this when they were young. Yeah, man. Trayvon Jones, shout out, bro. I already gave you a shout out, but shout out again. You know I'm rocking with you, Trey. We got enemies, black folks. Yeah, man. It's like some people don't know. And that's why you got people like me. That's why we got people like you, Trey, who got to wake up the masses. We got to wake up the masses. 85% of the sleeping and unlearned masses. 85% of the people don't know what's going on. 10% of the people benefit from the fact that people don't know what's going on. And then you got the 5%ers, us 5 poor righteous teachers. Poor righteous teachers trying to wake up The 85%, the masses. Us poor righteous teachers trying to wake up the masses, man. That's our job, Trey. So that's on us. You're absolutely right. We got enemies. It's our job to wake them up. Michael Pan, black people should consider voting for third parties. You dig? I'm with you, bro. We don't need AR-15s, but we should keep handguns, etc. Hey, man, I want an AR-15. I want an AR-15. I have no history of domestic violence. I have no history of mental illness. I want an AR-15. Absolutely, they're very customizable. Now, when I was in the army, well, I was rocking with the M16. The M4 was decent, but now as a civilian, I think that the AR-15 is it's very similar to the M16. Only it's customizable, so you can put a lot of add-ons, features to make that rifle personal to you. I want an AR-15. I'll probably get one next year. So I'm not saying take away all guns. I'm a Second Amendment advocate. I'm a Second Amendment advocate. I'm just saying we need to make sure that we do our due diligence when finding out who these people are that want them. I'll go through my background check. Do a background check on me. I'll submit myself to a background check, and at the end of this search, go ahead and run me my rifle. And I feel as though if they would have did a good background check on this guy, this could have been avoided. I think, you know. And from what you said, I think Michael Penn, responding to what you said, he said his father gave his son access to the guns. I'm pretty sure we read earlier in the article that he bought this rifle legally this year. He's 21, so we read earlier in the article. You might not have been in here when we were reading it. You might not have been here when we were reading it, but we read that he bought the rifle legally this year. All right, let's finish off these articles. Then we're going to finish off these comments. Then we're going to get back to the article. We got enemies. Okay, blah 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 blah. But we should keep. Michael Penn, AR-15 should be used for the military. That's what Second Amendment is for. We are the military, bro. We are the military. You, me, we are the military. Fried Time Media, you do understand that countries outside of America are more safe and less dangerous than America is. Dude, you're preaching to the choir, man. You're preaching to the choir. I lived in China for years. For years. I'm in DC. I drive to Canada. I just got back from Canada last night. Hey, man, I got my passport. My passport is stamped up. Let me tell you. I understand. I understand that. Mike, I understand. I do understand that other countries are safer. But would you rather safety or would you rather freedom? I prefer freedom. That's why I say America's the best country in the world. I move around a lot. I like to keep my options open, but I rock with America. I think America's the best country in the world because we're not as safe, but we're more adventurous, we're more rebellious, and we have more freedom. Freedom, freedom, freedom. I'm a gun-carrying, freedom-loving American. So yeah, Mike, I feel you. Other countries are safer, but I'm happy here in America. All right, let me finish off this article. I'm gonna play a clip for y'all, and then we're gonna finish up. All right, let me cut this off. Get back into this article, and then It's getting kind of late. I've been rocking with y'all for an hour. I appreciate y'all rocking with me. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. And then I'm almost done, guys. I'm not going to keep y'all up all night. Yeah, Governor Ron DeSantis was booed. DeSantis, who was running for GOP president nomination, said the state was looking to identify funds to help boost security at the historically black college, Edward Waters University, where the gunman showed up before the attack but left. They say without incident, but he left after a security guard stopped him. They keep trying to minimize that security guard. I think it was a black security guard. I'm not sure, but I have read that a security guard turned him away. And reading different articles on this situation, they keep trying to minimize the reason why he left. I'm thinking a security guard stopped him. We are not going to allow these institutions to be targeted by people. But as heckling resumed, this local black councilwoman told the crowd to shut up. That's basically, shut up. Shut up. Ron DeSantis is going to give us some money, so you guys shut up. Let me play that one more time. That's basically what she said. Ron DeSantis is going to give us some money. So y'all who don't like Ron DeSantis, y'all shut up and listen to what this man has to say so he can run us our check. Tell me that's not what this man, tell me that's not what this councilwoman was saying. Listen, I'm gonna play it one more time. And y'all tell me that's not what this councilwoman was saying. Shut up so I can get my money.
College, we are not going to allow these institutions to be targeted by people.
Hold on. Let me say this. Thank you. Okay, listen, y'all. Let me tell you, we finna put parties aside. Cause it ain't about parties today. A bullet don't know a party. So don't get me started. Okay, Jacoby is nice, but Ann is not. Now, if the governor wanted to come here and he bringing gifts to my community, y'all know I'm taking the gifts.
He's bringing gifts? He's bringing gifts to my community? Oh, I'm taking the gifts. It's not done. I'm going to keep running it. I'm going to keep playing it. But he's bringing gifts? Y'all that don't like him, y'all need to shut up. Hey, you black folks, you black men, you black grassroots activists trying to boo this Republican anti-black politician. Y'all shut up. I want his money. Keep playing.
Because we've been through enough already, and I don't want to go through no more. Now, y'all just be quiet just a minute and let the governor say what he gonna say, and we gonna get this party started. You hear me? Okay, let's do it.
So we have already identified.
Listen. There are some people. You know, the woman she said, oh, we're going to put aside party. So she thinks it's about party. It's not. It's about Ron DeSantis in particular. But as a Democrat, she's thinking, oh, they're booing him because he's Republican. It's not because he's a Republican, first and foremost. But second of all, there are people in power. They call them bootlicks. These bootlicks who will shut down the masses. Shut down the masses, especially black people. The people that we have in authority over us do not want to hear our voices. They do not want to hear what we have to say. Black people are not rocking with this dude, Ron DeSantis. And as a Democrat, she's still like, hey, shut up, guys. He came bearing gifts. He's going to bring us some money. Y'all shut up. I'm trying to benefit. 3 people died. I'm trying to make sure our city benefit. Not our city, but yeah, our community, our school benefits. So y'all shut up. Let him take his pictures. Let him get his photo out. And then y'all can go back online and do your complaining online. But here in person on the street, y'all shut up. I don't want to hear you. I just want him to take his picture and give us our money. Man, that's why me personally, I could never be a politician. I'm too rebellious. I couldn't be a politician. I couldn't, because I would let them boo. Matter of fact, if I was a black councilwoman, I'd be in there booing with them. Hey y'all, let's boo this guy. Boo! Boo you! Boo! Boo! I would boo him. Michael Penn. I understand that you support the Second Amendment. However, there needs to be a provision in terms what guns can Americans own and not own. In the convo. For sure. Agree to disagree. Alright, let me finish this up. I think that's all I wanted to show from the article. There's one more thing I wanted to point out. One more conversation that y'all might see. One more thing I wanted to point out. Because there's been a lot of people giving their takes on this situation. Giving their opinions as far as what they think of the situation. And this woman, I don't know, full disclosure, I don't know who this woman is. I've never seen her page or any of her posts before. This just came across my timeline and I was like, some people, man, you know, we all have a right to our opinions, but good Lord. Yeah, all right, I'm gonna share my screen one more time. I'm gonna play this clip and come back with some closing thoughts. All right, share my screen. I'm gonna play this, come back with some closing thoughts. I'm gonna cut the music. All right, here we go. Hopefully that's not too big. I think y'all can see it. Here we go.
Fucking do it.
Oh, by the way, there is some cursing on this. So, you got any kids with you? If you got any kids, be prepared. There's a little bit of cursing here.
It's not because they see them as a fucking threat. No, the fuck they don't. I didn't work with enough white men to know that they don't see black men as no fucking threat. Ever. Ever. Yeah. Doesn't matter how much money his ass got. Don't care what position he got. In authority. They don't see that shit as no fucking threat. But they do see black women as a threat. You understand? Because black women are a matriarchy. We're the most educated group. And guess what? When we come together with white women, that's really where it's going to hit them where it fucking hurts. Because when white women come together with black women, we really going to start changing some shit for good, permanently. And that is what white men are afraid of when they talk about woke. This woke stuff. They're afraid that white women are going to join with black women and we're going to start changing some shit in our fucking states. You understand? This ain't about no fucking black men, because black men are not the ones sitting around trying to figure out fucking solutions to the goddamn problems. Only black women and white women are doing that. Ain't no men out here coming up with no fucking solutions for the problems in this world. All they come together to talk about is women and...
Now, when I saw this, guys, I had so many thoughts going through my mind when I saw this. Now, to be fair, if you look at the comments, let me put my Mac music back on. When I went through the comments, you see a lot of people saying loud and wrong. This woman's just loud and wrong. The people on her own live were not rocking with her. You see the white woman in the bottom right hand corner as she's talking, ranting, and she's just like, I don't really know what this lady's talking about. She's rocking with her, but at the same time, she's like, I don't know what she's talking about. Listen, I try to give this woman some grace. Because I know that she's just talking out of hurt. I know she's talking out of pain. But, you hear, whenever situations like this, you hear some crazy takes on it. One take you might hear is, well, what about black on black crime? What about, the shooters in Chicago? That's what you might hear from, like, the coon bootlegs, black people. You might hear, oh, what about the shooters in Chicago? A lot of, Republican men say that, stick with that talking point. A lot of these liberal black women will go with the, oh, well, it's not just black men who are suffering. A black woman was shot in the situation as well. And they'll come in with this gender divide. They'll come in because it's easy to debunk and talk about what about war in Chicago? That we see that all the time. Every time there's a mass shooting, we'll see, but what about the black on black crime in Chicago? We see that all the time. But this is something that doesn't really get addressed as often. Is that what about black on black crime? That's a Republican talking point. But this talking point that I want to address after playing this video is coming from the liberal side. The Democratic part, they're going to push the gender divide. All right? They're going to push there was a black woman here. The black women are the least protected, and, it's not all about black men aren't the only ones suffering. Listen, we understand that black men are not the only ones suffering. And I try to give this woman some grace because I know she's talking out of pain and hurt. But at the same time, what she's saying is just blatantly on its face wrong. First and foremost, black men are number one enemy of the state. All right? The number one enemy of the state is the black man. Never forget it. Black women are collateral damage because they produce black men. Black women produce black men in birth. So black women are collateral damage. But black men are enemy number one of the state. Now, why do I say that? How can I prove it? Number one, if you've got two cars, 4 people in each car. You've got 4 black men in one car. You've got 4 black women in the other car. Out of these 8 people, everyone has dreads, everyone's black, everyone's driving down the road. Do you think the police are going to stop the 4 black women in the car? Or do you think they're going to stop the 4 black men in the car? Moving at the same speed. Who do you think was going to get more stops from the police? I'm telling you, the black men are going to get stopped. 8, 9 times out of 10, the black men in the car are going to get stopped before the black woman. Why? Because black men are the enemy of the state. All right, black men are the number one enemy of the state. There is a fear of the black man, more so than there is a fear of the black woman. Now, I'm not here to complain the oppression Olympics. That's not what this is about. We are in this situation together. Black men and black women have got to unite in this fight for justice, not unite in the fight against, racism is always going to be here. That's fine. You want to be racist, go be racist. That's fine. But we have to unite in the fight for justice. Justice means just treatment. Black men and black women have to be united for the fight for equity, justice for all. We all have to fight because we're all affected. I'm not saying we're all affected equally, and I'm not here to play the who's got it worse. What I'm saying is this gender divide that often comes in from the Democratic liberal side of, black women are the most unprotected. Black women are this, they're being insulted, and black men get insulted. Black men are having to fight. Black men love black women, and black women love black men. We got to push the unity and not the gender divide. When I see videos like this coming on the heels of a mass shooting where we should all be in here talking about the problems with politicians like Ron DeSantis and the problems with these suspected white supremacists, the last thing I want to see on the web is some black woman saying, black men are not a victim. These men were just shot down in cold blood. And your response to the situation is nobody's afraid of black men and nobody wants to kill black men? How is that helpful? It's not helpful. So like I said, I'm not here to play the victim Olympics or the oppression Olympics. But if we were going to play, we're going to win. All right, let me finish. I think there's a few more comments here. I'm going to finish these comments off. And then that'll be it for tonight. All right, my boy, Michael Pan. I disagree with you because black women and men are underpaid due to racism, economic inequality. I'm agreeing with you. I don't see the disagreement. Black women and men are underpaid due to racism and economic inequality. I agree. I'm not seeing a disagreement there. I think I've read all the other comments. Am I getting out of here on time? Let's go. I'm definitely. All right, Mike, I'm gonna give you a few moments to respond, but yeah, bro, I'm not disagreeing with you there. What I'm saying is, okay, even if you look at the jobs, black women are. If you have a resume with a black man and a black woman in corporate America, I could make an argument that black women would be hired before a black man in corporate America with the same resume. Absolutely. I've worked in corporate America. When I first graduated from school, I was a paralegal. Got my paralegal certificate from George Mason University. And I can tell you, before I went to law school, I can tell you that women are preferred in corporate America. Not only that, I see you made a comment, but let me finish this thought. Uh, they often point to the gender wage gap, and if you just think about it from a logical perspective, if men and women are doing the same work and women are getting paid less, then what employer would want to pay a man instead of a woman? Why wouldn't an employer choose to hire a woman if they can pay them less? It's the same. It's the same reason that they prefer immigration. They want to import workers into America because immigrants will work for lower wages. So why would you want to pay someone from America who's been here for generations, who expects a higher salary? Why would you want to pay them when you can get this guy fresh off the boat who'll work for 20-30% less? All right. Michael Pan, I understand that you need certain weapons to. Oh, back to the guns. I understand that you need certain weapons to protect yourself and property. AR-15s are not necessary to keep people safe. In corporate America, the racial pay gap still exists. As far as corporate America, I think we're saying the same thing. All right, I'm not going to beat that dead horse because I think we're saying the same thing. I'm with you, bro. Racial pay gap is a real. Okay, so we're not disagreeing there. As far as the AR-15, you got to go back and read. So I would encourage you to go back and read the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment, the reason you have right to carry firearms, the reason you have this right is because they were pushing at the time of the writing, they were pushing militias, local militias. These were not state-ordained National Guard. This was not state-ordained Army Reserves. These were local militias, meaning a group of us in the neighborhood have the right to carry weapons, and should the worst occur, should our country be invaded by France, should our country be invaded by Great Britain, should we have a tyrannical government, this is important and why I want you to listen. This is specifically to answer your question, Mike. The Second Amendment is to protect the people from a tyrannical government. So it's not just about protecting yourself from criminals. Oh, my house might get broken into. Yeah, that's fine. For that, you might want a shotgun. A shotgun might be enough. But let's say your country was invaded by China. Let's say your country was invaded by Russia. Let's say your country was invaded. It might be useful. It might be useful to have a rifle with a scope. I'm just saying. We see. I'm just going to throw out, just for the sake of conversation. First of all, the Second Amendment defends itself. We have a Second Amendment. I'm not giving up my rights. That's enough. That's all the conversation. That's all the defense I need. Any right that I have, I don't want to give it up. But a few things before I read your next comment. A few things that I want to emphasize is, number one, the Second Amendment protects us from tyrannical government. Number two, have you not seen the zombie movies? All right, now you're going to say, oh, zombie movies, that's fiction. Listen, there are diseases, there are viruses known to man right now. I think one comes from cats that infiltrate the brain. Viruses and parasites that we know that tap into the mind of rats and tap into the mind of humans. These viruses, these parasites, have the ability to alter the human mind as well as the mind of rodents, to encourage these foreign bodies, humans, rodents, and other animals, to do things against their own interest, like get themselves eaten. These parasites and viruses can decrease your inhibitions and encourage you to do more dangerous, reckless acts. We see that there's biowarfare going on. We all lived through 2020. We see that the powers that be have no problem using biowarfare. Things like the COVID, right? which was released from a lab in Wuhan, China. These Bill Gates, just a name, a buzzword. But just think about it like this. There are people in elite and high places who will use any and all tools given to them to control and socially engineer society to their benefit. And I wouldn't put it past them to come up with some type of virus or some type of parasite that would encourage civil war, as what would look like, not be, but what would look like a zombie apocalypse. I wouldn't put it outside of the range of possibility. And if it is a possibility, I'd rather be prepared by any and all means necessary. All right, get back to your comment. The Second Amendment is about protecting America from England, not only. Mind you, also, before I read the rest of your comment, it's not just about England. Mind you, at that time, there were a lot of slave rebellions. All right, there were a lot of slave rebellions, and they wanted to protect themselves from slaves breaking into masses' house. You misunderstood me. It is funny that you support universal health care when you know that the government is needed. I don't know how to respond to that, bro. I misunderstood you. Maybe. I accept that. It is funny that you support, yes, I support universal health care when you know the government is needed. What's funny about that? I don't see what's wrong with supporting universal health care. Pomegranate juice. I don't see what's wrong with supporting universal health care. I think that healthcare or lack of healthcare is the number one determination of people going bankrupt. The majority of people who file bankruptcy is because somebody in their family got sick. Their wife got sick with a terminal illness. A husband got sick with a terminal illness. Lost their job due to inability to work. Have ungodly amounts of medical bills and medical fees that they're unable to pay. I do not think that sickness is a reasonable cause of bankruptcy. If you disagree with that, well, you vote the way you want to vote. I'll continue to vote the way I want to vote. You start your own YouTube. You can tell people that you're against universal health care, and I'll continue to get on my YouTube and tell people that I support universal health care. That's the beautiful thing about America. You can push your line. I'm just on here pushing mine, bro. I support universal health care. But all right, man. I appreciate you, Mike. Whether we agree or disagree, it's always awesome to see you supporting the channel. It's always awesome to see you in the comment section. You give me a lot of things to think about. Give me a lot of things to talk about. So, Mike, I want to give you a quick salute, bro. Salute, salute, salute. Before I go, I am not against universal health care. I do support Second Amendment. However, I have reservations. That's fair, man. That's fair. Like I said, I'm not against regulations. I'm not against background checks. I'm not against doing... We should have some limits on the Second Amendment. I'm not saying you should have access to to tanks and nuclear warheads. So clearly there's let's say it like that. I don't think civilians should have nukes, right? So that means clearly there's some line as to what civilians should have access to and what civilians should not have access to. Hand grenades, maybe that's a bit too much, right? So there's some things. And hand grenades, I mean, I don't know. Maybe some civilians will want them. I don't know, man. I don't know where exactly that line is. I don't know exactly where that line is. But we can agree that there should be some line of regulation as to what, who, and under what circumstances civilians can own firearms. I don't think that civilians should have access to AR-15s, thanks, M16, etc., but access to rifles, handguns, shotguns. I like my M16. I like my M16. I like my 88 Mossberg. I like my Smith & Wesson. I'm keeping anything I can get. If you give me the right to it, I'm going to keep it. All right. And to be fair, the majority of weapons that kill people in America are pistols, not AR-15s. AR-15s are not the most casualty producing weapon in America. Pistols, small handguns, 9mm handguns are the most casualty producing weapons in America. M16s are used for military fighting abroad. Yeah, that's right. So what happens when military fighting comes home? Your way of thinking, you're comfortable with the government protecting you. I'm not comfortable with the government protecting me. I want to protect myself. You think, oh well, if there's a war and we get invaded, well, the government will protect us, or we'll get our guns then. Well, I want to already have mine. That doesn't mean I'm going to use it, but I want to have mine. I want to go to the gun range and be trained and effective and efficient with my rifle. I mean, that's what your line of thinking implies. Your line of thinking implies that. Why would you say that M16s are used for military fighting? The word abroad. Yes, you're right. M16s are used for military fighting. But what makes you think that military fighting will only occur abroad? I want to be trained with mine. I want to be proficient with mine. I want to practice with mine. I want to go to the gun range. I want to be prepared if anything should occur. Not to mention, I'll be on record as saying, shoot, if someone does something to me and my family, I digress. I digress. I'm just going to say I believe in revenge killing. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I don't know, man. I want to have mine. I want to have mine. That's all I'm going to say, Mike. Listen, like I said, bro, I appreciate you, bro. It's getting late, though. It's 8:30. I got to get ready for tomorrow. I appreciate you rocking with me. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button on the video. Everybody has made it this far. Be sure to subscribe. Smash the subscribe button. Hit the thumbs up button. And I'll be back on tomorrow with yet another interesting video. I hear you, because Second Amendment is open to interpretation. I also believe in defending myself, but I'm careful about which weapons to choose. And we'll leave it with that, Mike. We'll leave it with that. Peace, fam. Peace.